Tonight, curfew imposed in sections of Nagahead, Portmore, St. Catherine. PEP results to be released later this week. The Education Ministry offers login portal for parents to register for results. Jamaica recorded 36 new cases of COVID-19 and 3 additional deaths on Monday, with 50,793 total confirmed cases and 1,134 total COVID-related deaths. And the Ministry of Health and Wellness launched Jamaica Salt Consumption Knowledge Attitude Practice Study, Salt Cap.
We have evolved in a society where salt and sweet are part of us culturally. And I could name a number of products that are linked to our national consumption habits, which I personally like. But ultimately, excessive consumption can lead to a particular health profile.
Good evening. The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information is advising that an online portal has been created to allow parents as well as institutions access to the 2021 PEP results when they are released later this week. The portal is now open for registration. This online portal is in addition to the usual modalities available for accessing students' scores and placement. Parents of candidates who sat the exams this year and who provided email addresses were informed of this online portal by emails last week. Text messages were sent to those who provided cellular numbers, and others have been advised they can access the information from their children's schools. The Dean's Performance Information System (DPIS) online site for parents is parents.discipline. Let me repeat that. It is parents.dpisonline.com. And this site, the ministry said, is designed to present parent reports to all parents and guardians of students who are transitioning from primary level institutions to high schools. Parents are being asked to visit the website using their child's MOE school's email addresses as the username and date of birth as the password. This will then become active following the provision of an activation code to ensure strict confidentiality. The format to be used for the date of birth is year, month, and day. Jamaica recorded 36 new cases of COVID-19 and 3 additional deaths on Monday. The country has now recorded 50,793 confirmed cases of the virus, of which 8,210 are active. According to the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the 3 deaths were of a 59-year-old woman from St. Anne, a 73-year-old man from St. Catherine, and a 70-year-old man from St. James, bringing the overall death toll to 1,134. Of the 36 newly reported cases, there were 18 females and 17 males, with ages ranging from 9 months old to 96 years old. 9 of the cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew, 7 in Westmoreland, 6 in St. James, and 4 in St. Catherine. Hanover also recorded 4 cases, while Clarendon recorded 3, and Manchester, St. Anne, and St. Elizabeth recorded 1 each. The country also recorded 1,061 new recoveries, bringing the number of recoveries to 41,090. The Ministry of Health and Wellness earlier today launched Jamaica Salt Consumption Knowledge, Attitude and Practice Study, Salt Cap. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton, in his presentation, said that the study represents for the ministry an important step in their efforts to tackle the crisis of non-communicable diseases.
The crisis of NCDs is not just a national problem, it's a regional problem, and it's a global problem. We clearly are concerned with our local. That's our responsibility. But collectively, we have to collaborate. I'm pleased to be participating in the launch. For us, it's an important study that will contribute to policy making and implementation efforts. It gives us a guide to develop a roadmap. The recommendations from the study will provide that. It's important to assess the NCD epidemic in a global healthcare context. And I think COVID-19, which is responsible for close now to 4 million deaths and counting, with over 1,000 deaths here in Jamaica, is if you dissect those deaths, you will recognize the importance of lifestyle and why it is critical that we promote healthy living as part of our overall resilience as individuals and as a society. On average, at the same time, however, from an NCD perspective, over 40 million people die worldwide prematurely, that is before 70 years, from lifestyle diseases, from the way we live. And the main drivers of that are related to unhealthy consumption habits.
Dr. Tufton also explained why the study of this nature is necessary.
25% payout, 1.4 billion Jamaican dollars, goes to support Jamaicans with hypertension. And that's a big amount. What if we got Jamaicans to change their lifestyle and so not needing that kind of payout? Then the NHF would be more viable for starters. We probably would pay less taxes to secure our own health treatment. And of course, the longevity and quality of life would be enhanced. This, to my mind, is the substance of the argument today, why studies of this sort are necessary and why we cannot pull back from our advocacy around nudging Jamaicans to improving lifestyle, because frankly speaking, it acts in their best interests, in all our best interests. And so I want to thank the NHF for the support. This is a very proud moment for us in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, because certainly from my standpoint as minister, it ties in with what I've advocated for ever since becoming Minister of Health and Wellness, that we have to tackle health from two perspectives. It has to be tackled initially from the prevention perspective, and the core of that is consumer information, and then policies that encourage or nudges health-seeking behavior. And these studies, these baseline studies that we're doing, including this one, is aimed at doing that. And I don't think we have done enough of it, frankly speaking, as a relatively young democracy. Now is the time to do more of it, and I think COVID has demonstrated that more than ever.
The minister further outlined how the consumption of salt affects our health.
We like our salt. Our culture, we have evolved in a society where salt and sweet are part of us culturally. But ultimately, excessive consumption can lead to a particular health profile. And that's something that I think consumers need to be aware of. It's not just about salt, clearly. We're looking at trans fats. It's about other sugars, which we have spoken about. But all of this shows that excessive consumption in any of these areas will impact negatively our diet. And in terms of salt, salt has had a significant effect on blood pressure, stroke, heart disease, and the body of knowledge out there globally linking salt consumption and other conditions are very strong. It's just that in Jamaica, we have relied more on the global data and less on our particular circumstances and context. And one of the roles that we consider for ourselves in health, collaborating with partners, whether at the University of the West Indies, UTech, the NGO community, collectively as a society, is that we have an obligation to our people to give them the information. And it is out of that information we can design and develop other programs to encourage, to influence, to use moral suasion, to use policy, to even use laws in some instances to generate health-seeking behavior.
A curfew that has been imposed in sections of Nagahead, Portmore, St. Catherine, effective 6 p.m. yesterday, Monday, July 12, and will remain in effect until 6 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, July 14. The boundaries of the curfew are as follows. North along Dark Lane from the intersection with Newland Main Road to the western boundary, Imaginary Lane that runs through West Bank. East along the Newland Main Road from the intersection of Nagahead Drive to the intersection of Dark Lane, that is the land beside the Portmore Evangelistic Center. South along Nagahead Drive from the intersection of West Bank to the intersection of the Newland Main Road. And west along an imaginary line from Dark Lane running through West Bank to Nagahead Drive. During the hours of the curfew, all persons within the boundaries are required to remain within their premises unless authorized in writing by the ground commander. In other news, Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Pernell Charles Jr. vehicle yesterday was robbed when thieves removed government documents, a wallet and computer bag from his Toyota Prado in Kingston. Charles was with relatives grieving the loss of an uncle when the incident took place. It is reported that the minister's car was parked outside his family's nursing home in Russell Heights, St. Andrew, about 9:30 a.m. The robbers are said to have driven past the car in a Honda Stream, apparently to scope out the area, and returned minutes later to smash a back window of the Prado before escaping with his property. It was also reported that the police, who were quickly on the scene, collected surveillance tapes from security cameras mounted on homes facing the roadway and were able to see the robbery in motion. Minister Charles said the incident demonstrated the importance of surveillance cameras being mounted all over Jamaica to catch lawbreakers. And we will bring you more on this story in subsequent newscasts. Over in Lucy, Hanover, a 47-year-old man who allegedly sexually assaulted a 16-year-old disabled girl at a Hanover-based children's home is currently in the custody of the police. The police had launched an investigation following a report made about the incident. The girl, a source said, was on the compound of the children's home when the male employee, said to be a chef, took her into a bathroom and allegedly sexually assaulted her. The incident was later reported by the child to a caregiver at the facility. The Hanover Police Division Superintendent Sharon Beeput said the suspect was turned over to the police by his attorney on Saturday and that investigations are continuing and charges should be laid soon. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says the government plans to increase to 20 the number of restorative justice centers established across the island. Addressing the virtual launch of the Restorative Justice Facilitator Training Program yesterday, he also announced plans to establish one facility in Marvelly in St. Andrew North Western and one in the constituency of St. Andrew South Western at the request of the members of parliament for those areas. Justice centers, which have been established in every parish, are equipped to handle matters related to child diversion and restorative justice, as well as dispute resolution, among other justice-related issues. They also serve as a point of contact for custodies and justices of the peace. Mr. Chuck said, quote, "The Ministry of Justice is committed to make restorative justice a major part of the work that we will be carrying out. And we are doing so because we have seen that it is successful," end quote. Restorative justice is a type of alternative dispute resolution, ADR method, focused on achieving conflict resolution through the use of conferences. The Justice Minister noted that the thousands of conferences that have been undertaken have resulted in a more than 90% resolution and settlement rate, pointing to notable success stories in communities such as Tivoli Gardens, Denham Town, Tower Hill, and Granville. With the approval of amendments to the Casino Gaming Act in the Senate, the government says it is aiming to attract investments in the country and increase economic activity as part of recovery efforts from the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly in the tourism sector. Piloting the Casino Gaming Amendment Act 2021 in the Senate, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith said the amendments are aimed at strengthening the country's competitiveness in the tourism industry. Senator Johnson-Smith explained that the proposed amendments are aimed at making changes to the requirement that a prospective investor must fulfill and of which the minister with responsibility for finance must be satisfied in order to declare an integrated resort development to be an approved integrated resort development. She informed that analysts have forecast that the global casino gaming market will expand at a compound annual growth rate of 9 and 11% during the forecast period of 2017 to 2030. Senator Johnson-Smith said subsequently to the review, the government took the policy decision to amend the Principal Act. Meanwhile, opposition Senator Damian Crawford says he's opposed to Jamaicans being allowed to gamble inside casinos when the relevant legislation and development that will allow for casino gambling on the island takes effect. Crawford argued that several countries, including Caribbean neighbors, the Bahamas, have instituted such a policy with good reason. He said they have likely paid attention to what are perceived to be the social costs of gambling. He argued further that if a gaming lounge and a casino lounge were the same, then there would be no need to issue a casino license. The opposition senator pointed out that a major difference between the two is that a gaming lounge will have a limit while casinos have no limits. He said he has observed persons who use gaming as a job. And those are some of the stories making news. We will return with other stories, with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries on a drive to put unused lands into food production, as well as news that Prime Minister Andrew Holness has commended Jamaica Promotions Corporation's JAMPRO on its role in facilitating investments locally. But first, let's take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.